What's going on, team? It's another wonderful day here at A Brodacious Life. My name is Jonathan. I'm your host for the day. Dr. J couldn't be with us here today. He is off kicking butt, taking names, leading young kids to a great future. Super proud of that guy. That guy's just dope, man. Love that dude. And I just want to have a fun conversation today. We've been talking about lifestyle design and bringing different designs into your lifestyle, things that you could benefit from. I came across a YouTube video and it just kind of changed my mind a little bit on some things. So this conversation is based on the YouTube channel called Simply by Christine. I often find that like the idea of minimalism should apply to my life. Minimalism involves like the removing of clutter from your home. And Christine from Simply, she explains that it just plays into mental well-being so well. There's something feel good about decluttering a space. I live on a homestead, which can be almost the opposite of minimalism. We're taught in our world that to hoard up extra things and materials and store them off to the side. Excess food, water, tools, and building materials are treated as almost like currency, in our world. So how can I, Jonathan, chef, homesteader, how can I how can I be a minimalist? First, I want to deep dive into the benefits that she discussed in her channel. I'm going to leave a link down below. YouTube does not like it when we play the videos directly into the podcast, and they kind of get upset about that. So I don't want to break any copyright infringement. I want Simply Christine to be happy with me, even though I'm kind of promoting her page a little bit. I don't know her. I don't get paid to do that. I just really enjoyed the conversation, but I'm going to leave that tag or that link, if you will, in the notes description. So don't worry. Don't feel like you're missing out. You can click on that link and you can go directly to that video and you can watch it yourself. So first thing in the benefits that she listed, first one is just saving time and money. There's just more items, and clutter does not mean happiness. And that really plays against kind of our American culture. We love instant things. I had Amazon packages arriving this week. They're literally off to my right here, brand new Roadmaster or Rode Pod mic, so I can do some more interviews. But we're just constantly getting things, and it just does not always mean happiness. And we've become such a material culture that is really hard for people to describe. So I think what she's meaning there is that you find more meaning in the day-to-day life and what's going on around you, the birds chirping, the wind blowing through your hair, and just enjoying life more because there's all of these clutter and all these things removed, if you will, from around you. Next is just the environmental benefits. Obviously, if you're consuming less and you're using less space, that means you're also leaving a lower carbon footprint and reduces waste. People don't realize how much carbon footprint goes into things. And I work in food industry, and it's something that I get to see every single day. When you think about, oh, that's romaine lettuce and oh, it's local. Well, most of these chains, their version of local is actually California. So this product is actually coming in, shipped in from California, and it's not coming in from Mississippi. Their version of local is actually grown and picked in Southwest California. It's put on a train and then it's shipped here. Well, that requires a carbon footprint. Well, everything's that way. That from this pod mic stand, this hat, the earbuds, everything has a carbon footprint. And we have to do more, obviously, as a people. I don't want to say a country, as a people. We just got to do our part. I'm not going to be a super big tree hugger. That's not really my thing. However, we can all do a little better, right? We can all do a little better, right? A little less stuff in the landfill, a little less junk. And I was about to say junk in the trunk. Don't do it. Next is easier to stay clean and organized. Minimalism is practical, especially if you prefer a clean and organized space. How easy is it to clean up when you've only got like 5 things to clean? You've got, your basic, oops, I bumped my mic. You're down to basically like, 10 shirts and 10 pants that you kind of have first season, and you're kind of just keeping those things clean. Well, the same thing kind of goes with like your kitchen. You basically you carry what exactly that you need. I'm bad on this. My kitchen, I have so many gadgets and gadgets and all the little different bells and whistles. I have a pasta machine. I have a sous vide machine. I have a vacuum packer so I can sous vide. You name it. I got cedar planks to smoke salmon on. I don't even have a smoker. So I admit I need minimalism a little bit more in my life, just a little bit. And the next thing is just mental well-being. Applying minimalism is more than just applies to more than just things. Applied to our life means maintaining solely what is important to us. Remove mental clutter that does not benefit life. Focus on the well-being versus following on the newest trends. Say that again now. Minimalism, when applied to our life, focuses more on our personal well-being than the newest trends and buys and the things that are around us. And that's something that I think is great. I think is awesome, right? So I've watched several of these videos. How do we get to this minimalism? I kind of went down this deep dive, and I don't know. I kind of went down I went down this rabbit hole of research, because minimalism in its context sounds good. Now, minimalism is going to mean different things for every single person. I'd like to think I'm a minimalist. I try to once a year, I try to empty out junk that gets collected up around here. I've got cabinets, and I got 6 kids. So this house is constantly full of stuff. So once a year, I try to be like, all right, well, that hasn't been touched since the last time we looked at stuff. So let's give it a toss. But how do we become a minimalist? First thing, and again, this is based on Simply by Christine. I've kind of added my little touches in here. She's got her touches in here, but this is based on that conversation. I don't want to take sole responsibility for all of this content. I'm really kind of looking at her, what she's doing, and I really like it. And I just kind of took a couple bullet points from her, and then I've added my bullet points to it. So please note, I just want to give that girl her just due there. I'm not stealing content. I want to make sure that I'm giving her, what was it when you wrote a page? The reference. There you go. Make sure she's got the reference. All right. So the 4 steps to becoming a minimalist. First one is know your why. What is your end goal or dream to achieve through minimalism? And must need clean conscience on what is important. You got to know what is important, because, well, if you throw away all your cups and then now you can't drink water, obviously that cup was important, right? Because we got to drink water to survive. So you got to know what's important. Next, take your root case. What causes your clutter or consumption? So once we know what your root causes are, can we curb your consumption or clutter? And I think we might find there's some things that kind of play in our personal lives when it comes to our clutter around us. And I'm guilty. When I'm stressed and I'm just not feeling it, I'm not going to lie, I'll Amazon something. I love that retail therapy. I do. That's how I got this hat. It is what it is. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm just going to keep it like it is, right? So I just want to, what is causing that root cause for us to gain clutter? Maybe we're gaining clutter because we see things as an object that gives us meaning. And that gets very dangerous. And there's different cultures that kind of have this issue about it. It happens. I think it happens. And I remember seeing a study on it, and I don't want to dive too deep down on it, because I don't live in a higher end life. So this isn't a judgmental thing. In fact, I've probably spent most of my life in the lower middle class to low class, not low class, lower income. There we go. That sounds a lot better. I'm not low class. I'm lower income. Get it right. So, one of the problems that we have in our culture, especially when it comes to lower incomes homes, is that we have the odd ability to collect things as status. I can't afford a home, but I have 30 pairs of Jordans. I've got a good friend of mine, and that was first. He loved Jordans and he couldn't buy a home. He's always looking for raises. I was his boss. Loved the guy to death, but he could literally sell all of those Jordans and buy a house. He had that many Jordans. He had hundreds of pairs of Jordans. And what causes that? He's got to dive that in. It could just be, hey man, I love Jordans. But for many people, we kind of have this habit that things are a status for us. I got to have the Apple laptop with my Apple phone, with my iPad, and I got to have all these other nice things so I can feel like I'm important too. Well, all we're doing is really just adding clutter into our space, and we're hogging up space that we could be using for other things, one, and two, when we have clutter, believe it or not, it really does slow you down. People always say, oh well, I know where something is in the middle of all this stuff. Do you though? Do you? Is this not slowing you down at all to mentally have to go through? And when I have a big clutter, it frustrates me because if I can't find it like that, it's frustrating to me. So I need to get down to the root cause of what's causing me to accumulate stuff. Number 3 is time to minimize, declutter, and organize. She recommends focusing in on one room or closet at a time. Focus in on an area that can be easily tackled. Too often we look at the house as a whole, and this is the same thing that goes on in our personal lives. We think about the great big picture when we really just need to focus down on something small. And that can be a pantry in the kitchen. That could be a hallway closet, because things tend to accumulate in there that we'll never use. Our hallway closet is filled with everything from toys, uh, towels for the bathroom, to toilet paper. It has clothes, it has shoes, mud boots. There's no telling. You open the one by my kids' room, there's no telling what's going to fall out of that room, right? So that'd be a great place to start. What's not being used? What's going in there? Kitchens and closets are just the easiest, but we often, because we just throw stuff in there. So then you can sell some of those items. You can repurpose, you can donate them, and anything that you're not in need of, get it out of there. And be more conscious of new purchases. What you don't want to do is, now that you've freed up the space, is immediately fill that space back up with junk. You're really wanting to open that up. And if you have a question on do I really need that item? Is it something that I'm really going to need? Put it in a box. Put it in a little big Tupperware box, the black one with the yellow lid that you get at Home Depot or Lowe's. Put it in there, roll it back into that closet. And if you haven't touched it in the next 6 months, when you go to re-clean and declutter that area and you haven't touched it at all, you know that you don't need it. Period. Done. Get her out of there. And that's a great way to make that decision on what you're going to need and what's going to not. I'm like that with a lot of my tools. If I see that I'm not really using it, I could sell it. I can gift it, because actually people are kind of looking for some of the tools that I have. So it's kind of a great way to gift. And the next thing kind of going along with gifts is ask yourself, wrong one. Stay on a minimalist path. So we talked about reducing the purchases. And the next thing when it comes to gifts is, many people are not going to understand your lifestyle and what that means. So you're likely going to have to kind of educate them on what's going on in your mindset and the opportunity there. Educate them. It might be that instead of getting things, that you get gift cards and cash. Because you don't want necessarily physical things that are going to hog up space inside of your home and your life, your desk. You don't want that clutter in your life. Now, again, those are the ways, if you will, to be a minimalist. And I still think that all of these things somewhat apply to our life and our brain and what we have going on. So when we talk about decluttering, how do we declutter our brain? So decluttering our brain comes normally down to we got to get it out. And so how I get things out is through journaling. I know we've talked about it 100 times on here, but I really do recommend our Brodacious journal. If you haven't had a chance yet, all you got to do is go over to our website. That's down in the description down below. That's www.abrodaciouslife.com. Subscribe to that newsletter and you'll get it for free. It's no biggie. You could download it. It's a PDF. You can print it from there. I downloaded into my iPad mini so I can just scribble scrabble with my Apple Pencil, and I write my journal every day that way. It's first thing I do when I get to work in the morning. I spend 25 minutes and I just go through that list each day, and it greatly, greatly helps how my day is going to break down. And again, it's about removing that clutter from my brain, and then I'm just packing it onto a page. And it could be that the journal's not enough as far as like the daily tasks and things that are with it. You might need to like actually write down your day at the end of the day, and that's perfectly fine as well. But you're wanting to remove that clutter. We had that conversation with Renee Cavallari. That was so great, the author of Head Trash. And again, our brains, we just hold on to all this information, and sometimes we need to just get it out of our brain and put it down on paper, and that removes it from there. It pulls all the clutter out, puts it down on this page, so I no longer have to worry about it. My brain doesn't have to function on it. I'm not wasting my brain that could be working on another project because it's storing that information. I now have those 30 gigabytes of information that I could be focusing on my work life, my personal life, and whatever I have going on, this podcast. And I just thought this was a great conversation. So again, my name is Jonathan Boyd. This is a Brodacious Life podcast. Shout out to Dr. J. Looking forward to having him back on Sunday. You'll hear that episode on Monday. And we are super proud that you're here. Make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, leave us a fun comment down in the comment section down below. We'd love to give you a shout out, have some fun. You guys are fantastic. And we will see you next time on a Brodacious